Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today's October 18th, and we're doing business and social stories for the middle of your week. I almost said the start. It's the middle.
Hump day.
Hump day. Getting you over your hump day. Hopefully.
Depending on which part of the day you're
watching.
consuming this, you could be at different parts of the hump. Well, let's talk about perhaps a new player. Well, not a new player, but a new kind of play from an old player in the processor game.
Qualcomm will try to have its Apple Silicon moment in PCs with Snapdragon X.
So Qualcomm wants this ARM chip that they're making to be kind of like the M1, M2. Change the game with desktop processing using ARM. Will they succeed? Maybe.
Tune in next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Chip Z. Yeah, that might be a time.
Oh.
You know, we forgot to use Cash for Kidneys last week.
We forget every week, like whenever we think of a funny title while we're sitting here, and then we don't put it in.
It's kind of become a meme, hasn't it?
Yeah. That would be on the bingo card. We should do a news bingo card.
Yeah, we already talked about that.
Have we?
Yeah, because Wendell does the elliptic curve. He does the congressional VHS records. He's got
the Telecommunications Act of 1996.
Yeah, he's got things he hits every episode.
Yeah.
I suppose we all do. Well, Samsung, remember when Samsung was just riding high during the chip shortage?
This was a brutal headline.
They were the king, but oh, the king has fallen.
Samsung expected to report 80% profit plunge as losses mount at chip business. Whew.
So it seems like everybody went from scrambling to chips to try to get them to, I'm not buying a new smartphone, I'm poor. And that is not working well.
Isn't that like the whole economy of South Korea? It's just Samsung.
It's definitely a big part of it. And so we mentioned in the government section that the RISC-V, the American politicians are like, oh, RISC-V, China's using it, we must destroy it. And some reasonable people are like, guys, really?
RISC-V group says restrictions on open technology would slow innovation.
True. I don't think you're going to convince the politicians of it, though. And non-x86 computers, not only are we getting the hotness from Qualcomm, but we got a new #1 contender for speed.
Europe's first Exascale supercomputer will run ARM instead of x86.
And it will be up there with the fastest supercomputers in the world if it does what they claim it will do. What a cool aesthetic. Huh?
That is a cool aesthetic. I was just thinking that feels like a liminal space. Like it feels sort of cold and unwelcoming, but also very interesting to look at. Also,
that room, cold AF. And Lenovo is coming out with some PCs that are Chromebooks, but unlike most Chromebooks, which are just low-tech garbage, they're going to let you put whatever high-power chip you want in these bad boys.
Lenovo to offer Android PCs starting with an all-in-one that can pack a Core i9.
I guess it's not technically a Chromebook, right? Just an Android PC. I don't know that you're going to need an i9 in an Android PC. They're not marketing it for desktop use. They want this to be something in like a tablet that you would use in a hospital or something like that. And we've learned that the ultimate, I guess, trophy of a big tech company, and one of the ways that you can separate yourself from the supply chain hell is just make everything yourself. And of course, the Apple M chips have proven that that is a valid strategy if you can get it right. So obviously, the new chip scramble is not for CPU chips anymore. It's for AI processing.
Exclusive. ChatGPT-owner OpenAI is exploring making its own AI chips.
How are they going to do it? Same way everybody else does it. Acquire another company that's already doing that. They won't say who.
They're going to totally do it themselves. They're going to do it all here in the U.S. It's going to be great, make jobs.
Creating jobs. They're going to create just as many jobs as their software destroys.
That would be lovely, but I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's physically possible. And Samsung, they play games just like we've seen with the software companies where they sell certain devices for one price in one country, another price in another country. People figure this out. and they have a fun little black market where they shuffle them around, they say they don't want that.
Samsung blocks gray market cell phones in Mexico.
So if you bought one of these, you're getting this message right here. I don't speak Spanish, Krista.
I also
but
don't.
Pretty sure that says we're going to turn this off on the 11th of October.
Hincho in Mexico.
I guess that's already happened.
No niñas en la canasta.
If you are a Mexican Samsung user who experienced this, please comment and tell us about your experience.
In English, because we can't read it in Spanish.
They are going to give you a 30% off voucher, but you've already paid for the other phone. So you're just going to pay another 70% for the same device.
But then you won't get the pop-up, so it's totally worth it.
And they point out, they're like, well, we don't want this out there because we use different frequencies in different countries, different things, different rules about, but these were working. The Mexican people were using them.
No, it's different, though. You don't understand. It's fine.
And maybe if you're one of those Mexican people who's a slave to your local telecoms like we are, and you just want to get away from it all and get a phone that works anywhere in the world, Mr. Elon Musk has something for you.
New Starlink webpage highlights upcoming direct-to-cell service. They're looking to compete with Apple with this, I think.
And a couple of small startups who are doing the pure satellite phone via this kind of thing.
Would be nice out in the woods, though I kind of like not having service for short stints anyway. Nice to get away sometimes.
You know, one of the craziest things about the war is that it was Shabbats, I think is the name of it, right? Everybody turns their phone off. So as that was going down, nobody had their phone turned on.
Everyone just living in the moment.
The last happy moments. Well, you know what is a very unhappy moment? Is when the power goes out.
Yes.
These days, because of our addictions to all of our various technologies, when the power goes out,
like heat.
What are you going to do? Yours too? Yeah, like heat. I mean, that's a valid thing.
You're
right?
You're the luxury of staying warm in your own home.
50, maybe 70 years ago, no one would have sweated it a bit. They're like, oh yeah, just put some firewood in there. But nobody has that anymore. In fact, they're making everything illegal, right? We all have to have heat pumps.
I so desperately want a stove, which I've talked about before, but it's expensive to find a masonry person who can repair our fireplace.
And then you got insurance and everything. They're definitely pushing us towards like, oh, you got to do heat pumps. That's the green new thing. So what happens when you don't have the electricity? Well, in Vermont, they're coming up with a plan.
Vermont utility plans to end outages by giving customers batteries.
I can't scroll. These are the Tesla batteries. So they say customers who lose their power a lot, they want to just give them a Tesla battery. And that way, power keeps running until they get it turned back on.
It's a nice idea. It does feel a little bit like somebody bribed for that to happen, but maybe not. I mean, as a citizen, I would appreciate like, oh, free backup battery. Thank you.
Yeah, you can't, why say no to it? Other than the possible small house fire risk.
You just keep it in your sugar shack in the back.
But I don't know what the watt hours is on one of those. Do you? How long could that run an entire household? Probably not very long.
Not with heat and stuff, no.
You could go to a space heater probably. A little 500 watt.
Yeah,
keep
that
you
would
alive.
work.
Well, we see this Atari. I mean, this seems to be part of their new strategy for marketing. I don't know what this does, but they always get articles about it.
It is motorcycle season.
Oh, I hate motorcycles.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys, we've had it multiple times now. We just had a really loud one.
But anyway, they're doing another one.
Atari is releasing a new cartridge for its 46-year-old 2600 console.
Save Mary. So Mary is trapped in a ravine and it's filling up with water, and you have to use a construction crane to build her a path out.
I don't know who wants that. Maybe someone does.
Somebody does. And if you are this person, aren't you? Trapped in old cable internet, unable to get the blessings of fiber, and you want more speed, but obviously copper has its limitations. Maybe not the limitations we thought.
Comcast started squeezing to, what is that?
Gigabits per second.
Gigabits per second. Symmetrical internet speeds through decades-old coax cables.
DOCSIS 4. So it's the same garbage infrastructure, but with new hardware and software developments, they claim that they can get much more out of it.
I definitely know that they're doing work. Like it's confirmed that they're doing work on our road right now. That's why our internet has been weird lately. It's fine during the workday, which is great. But then it's like every night we stream, or even like during raid time, sometimes the internet will get a little flaky.
The most important time.
Yeah. Never mind our jobs, but gaming time is being interrupted.
I bet they had to switch that because in the old days, in the before times, most people would be gone during the day.
Yeah.
But now
Everyone's working from
everybody's
home.
working at home during the day. Interesting. Well, this fella's not going to be in the office anymore, but it ain't because he's working from home.
Another word I don't know how to pronounce. John Riccitiello steps down as CEO of Unity after pricing battle.
Who cares if we pronounce the name correctly for this piece of trash? But the Backlash, congratulations, everybody. Good job on the Backlash. We really dunked it on that Backlash. Let's keep it up. But it was so bad that he has to be ejected.
I mean, they'll probably still try it again.
Oh, yeah.
But like a small win this week.
We'll take any win we can get.
Yeah.
And YouTube TV, boy, am I tired of YouTube trying to harass me.
Yeah.
into
Every
this.
time I go in, it's like pop up. Hey, do you want YouTube TV? No.
And they
don't want
make the same claim every time. Turns out legally, it is false.
YouTube TV, which costs $73 a month, agrees to end $600 less than cable ads.
Now you say 73 like you're outraged, but they compared it to one of the regular cable packages, which was over $219. So the whole idea here is that in a year, if you calculate all the savings from YouTube, it would be that much difference. But some of the cable companies came through and they were like, actually, if you look at our lowest spectrum, if you look at our lowest plan that's similar to theirs, it's not $600. It's like $200. So legally they've agreed. Maybe take that off. And good news for YouTube. Although I don't think teens are going to be paying $79 a month.
No.
They are flocking to the service.
YouTube passes Netflix as top video source for teens. I was going to say can confirm, but I'm not a teenager. I do use YouTube more than any other video service.
But you browse YouTube like a teenager. You're young at heart.
Yeah, I do.
Not at all. You're doing like gardening and...
Well, yeah, I
home
guess that's
stuff,
true. Yeah, it's all
you're-
gardening and hiking and like soundtracks or like nature sounds. I listen to nature sounds while I work a lot.
Your YouTube persona is like 52.
It's funny too. Like I know I've found a really good gardening channel when it's an old English lady. And she's like, I've been doddering about the garden for like 50 years. And I'm like, oh, tell me everything.
Remember the old PBS show Victory Garden?
No.
Yeah, there was an old PBS show. It's like they were
bet
just
that's on
they were
YouTube.
just showing off. Oh yeah, sure, for sure. So actually, though, even though they go for that as the most video destination, they all said their favorite app was
TikTok.
the Talk.
The Talk. Do
Obviously.
you think they say, like people say the gram?
I'm gonna
People
get
say
that
the
started.
Talk.
I'm gonna coin that phrase.
Because you know so many teenagers. That you
Such
can,
an influencer.
Yeah.
Bad news for Netflix, but great thing about YouTube, you don't have to pay for it.
But you could. You could pay for it.
You could pay to have an ad-free experience,
Or you could just use.
or you could just
Snapchat.
whitelist Level 1 text in your ad blocker. Microsoft made a unpopular announcement. Can you imagine? And just like with Unity, good job on the pushback here, guys. Let's keep pushing.
Microsoft calls off OneDrive photo apocalypse. Hey,
So-
don't limit our photos.
If you uploaded a photo to your OneDrive, you not only got it counted once, but then if you uploaded it to another folder in your OneDrive, you got it counted twice. And then when OneDrive backed it up, you got a third strike, all eating away at your measly 5 gigabits or 5 gigabytes. So they've backed off on that.
For now. Just like the other one. For now.
And maybe you're like me and you'll never use OneDrive. And as long as you can get away with it, you won't use Windows 11.
Not even the ghost of obsolescence can coerce users onto Windows 11.
It is such a I mean, the whole Microsoft operating system stuff is garbage, but Windows 11 especially is
I'm
just
just going to keep
egregious.
adding more ads to it.
And then one of the things that people hate about the Microsoft ecosystem is the App Store. They have arguably the worst App Store in existence, but maybe you didn't know because no one uses it. They've reinvented it.
Microsoft launches new web app store for Windows. Please be excited about it. We got paid a lot to write this article.
What do you think about the design?
I mean, it looks like all of these services kind of look the same anymore.
They kind of made it look sort of like Netflix.
Yeah. I haven't used it, so I can't say how usable it is, but I'm sure it's not great.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely awful. And if you are on board with the whole own nothing and be happy sort of mentality, good news, your PlayStation gaming can now be completely out of your control.
PlayStation 5 cloud streaming launches this month.
You got to be on their premium tier subscription, whatever. If you're into that kind of thing.
Not a console gamer. Whew. Sorry. Oh, this is a small headline.
Well, you are not a console gamer. You're also not a competitive FPS gamer.
Not since Overwatch disappeared from our hard drive.
You know who else will not be doing competitive FPS gaming? Mac users.
Valve says Counter-Strike 2 for Mac not happening because there aren't enough players on Mac to justify it. I had to kind of lean in to read that one.
Squint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
You buy a Mac for gaming, you're going to have a bad time. And it's going to cost you a lot of money.
I mean, I could see like, oh, whatever, I'll install Minecraft, but like, do you really do competitive FPS on a Mac?
My competitive FPS days are long gone. I have to accept that.
I still have fun. Like, playing BattleBit's fun, but I don't really play that competitively.
Yeah, that's not really that competitive. That's more just chaos.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about Microsoft, and people do not want to get Windows 11. Man, I understand that. Microsoft is, the telemetry. It's a bad experience, but honestly, and I know that some of you get really upset about that, but Linux on the desktop, that's not great. It's got leaves a lot to be desired. So this fella has decided that he's going to fix it all and give us a new choice.
Space OS is trying to bring back the personal computer, this time in the cloud.
So it's weird. He's basing it on software ownership, but how does software ownership in the cloud work?
Yeah, I like that you highlighted the word. Yeah, the in the cloud kind of makes that a little confusing.
So it's an interesting thing that he's talking about here. It's like basically an infinite desktop where you just draw your own windows and render things in them. Right now, it seems like the App Store is pretty basic. Doesn't really do a lot, but he's got big ambitions. Also, all of this runs on AWS, so I imagine that this isn't free, but did you see pricing anywhere?
No.
I don't know if I'm willing to experiment with that for money. I would experiment with it for free. And if you hate Google Docs, and boy, do I hate Google Docs. Boy, the features we use Google Docs to organize the stories, and it's miserable.
I discovered there's a plugin for Google Docs for scripting. I haven't installed it yet, but maybe next time I need one, I'll try it and see if it's any good. Unrelated.
Well, if you don't want that, you could always go this direction.
Zoom is launching its own Google Docs competitor, which probably won't be that much better.
Probably about the same.
I also like that this photo that they picked for this article, they have him writing in a notebook instead of using something like Google Docs. Yeah.
He also has pencils on the desk.
Yeah.
It's antithetical.
Whatever.
That's a Shutterstock image. So
Yeah.
I didn't actually come up with that. Gizmodo. Good job. So this is going to have AI because everything has AI now, and it's going to be integrated into your meetings. So like, I guess in a meeting, you can just pop up a document, do a quick spreadsheet.
Oh, you can do that in Teams too, where like you have the little chat for just your call. Sometimes I'll put notes in there.
But this is totally different because it's not Microsoft Office.
Oh, of course, totally.
Clearly. And we see people, we talked about the iMessage stuff. It seems that this is becoming not only a political thing, but more and more people crying out that we should no longer be racist in our text messages.
Pressure grows on Apple to open up iMessage. Well, what a perfect freeze frame we got.
I don't think Apple cares.
No, absolutely not. Well, they want that feeling for
They
their
like
users.
that,
Yeah.
that exclusivity. That's important for a cult. Very important. And this is a cool thing. The Firefox users, the 2%, the chosen 2%, you're going to get a hot new feature because Firefox bought a new company.
Firefox will have a built-in fake reviews detector. Amazon is in trouble.
So Fake Spot, Mozilla bought them. And apparently when the next version of Firefox comes out, it's going to be integrated into all of your browsing. This will affect Amazon, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Walmart, and eBay starting out.
Ooh, I hope they get it for like hardware stores eventually.
I bet that's coming.
Hardware stores have a lot of like, they're not fake, I guess, but they're very clearly bought because they label it. They're like, this was part of a promotion.
Yeah. Actually, we've worked with large companies who've done that before. And they're like, hey, we know that we have the review system on this site, but we've been collecting reviews from our users and we would like to give you an API. And it's like, how do we know these are from your users? They're like, well, just trust us. And they're all good.
Yeah.
They're
always like that. Would love that because like Lowe's is that way. Every time I go to like look at something on Lowe's, it's full of just fake reviews. And I'm like, I just want to know if this is really good.
Or you get the user receive this product for free. It's like, I can't trust anything about this. Come on. Well, Microsoft got a really, really upsetting letter this week. Imagine opening this. Imagine the feeling in your stomach.
Imagine if you're like their tax professional.
Actually, that's good news for you.
I guess, yeah,
It's
we got
like,
a lot of work.
Overtime.
IRS says Microsoft owes an additional $29 billion in back taxes. Whew.
So this has something to do with repatriating money from overseas, and maybe they didn't report everything that they should have. Now, Microsoft has responded, and they said, no, they're wrong. At least $10 billion of this we paid. But that's still $19 billion.
That's still a lot of money.
So they point out that because of the appeal process and the way that they go through this with the IRS, this is probably going to take about 4 years to shake out.
Do you think that they'll set you up on a payment plan? You'll get that 19 billion or 29, whatever it is.
We can do like 25 a month.
Forever.
And you know what? This would be a bingo moment because Wendell's hatred of T-Mobile and their billing practices. But they have a new one that's maybe worse than the previous ones.
T-Mobile is forcibly moving people on older plans to some of its newer ones in November. There's a window to opt out, but if you don't, expect to pay more for a new plan.
And opting out means calling their customer service and going through some ritual, which I guarantee is going to
kill
take...
a goat.
Yeah, it's probably 45 minutes minimum to try to get that. It's going to be a nightmare for you. This is a lot of the poor people plans, which they obviously don't like. Remember when they had the big merger and they said this kind of thing would never happen?
Oh, yeah.
They'd be locked into savings.
It's fine.
Well,
They also said they weren't going to get rid of jobs, and then they were like, layoffs.
yeah, they immediately did everything they said they weren't going to do. It's weird how that happens every time. Over in the social media world, Mastodon was supposed to be the thing that killed Twitter. It did not do so. Twitter, though, has sort of languished, and recently it's getting more and more attacks. So maybe people have moved.
Mastodon actually has 407,000 more monthly users than it thought.
So because of the federation, it turned out that some federations were reporting, but Mastodon had an error. Wasn't counting them. Or they made all this up.
One or the other. What's the other one? Threads. I haven't heard any stories about Threads in a while.
Threads is dead. Everybody's leaving Threads. And Twitter, which some people might call X, but I never will.
Never.
Is still the number one. However, they have faced a lot of criticism in this past week.
TikTok, latest firm after X and Meta to be warned by EU over Hamas videos.
So obviously there's a lot of propaganda coming out whenever there's a war. A lot of people saying that X should immediately delete those things. And for a while, they maybe weren't deleting anything or were very slow to delete certain things. And eventually, midweek, I think they did step up. And but where do you stand on this argument? Because I know you don't like to see that kind of stuff. And neither do I. I've kind of avoided. But the idea that the world must never see it and we should just take their word for it. We can't go about that.
Yeah, I do feel like you should be able to look. I don't mind it when they have like the little like more context blurb at the bottom. But I miss the old internet where, like, I remember every news site used to have a comment section. And one of the things, I mean, you had the unhinged crazy people in the comments like you always do, but what was nice about it is you could get like debate on both sides of an issue reading through those comments.
The problem is the spam, though. Right?
Yeah.
And the astroturfing.
Right.
And the amount of effort you have to put into that is not worth what you get out of it.
Right. Which is, that's so sad. Bots ruined the internet.
Well, one way that you can get away from that is the new feature on X.
Oh, X now lets you restrict replies to verified accounts only because people who make bots won't just buy an $8 account.
Well, but he pointed out when he did the transition to that, one of the reasons is because he said, yeah, you can do it once or twice, but then you run out of credit cards because you can't do multiple accounts on the single credit card. So you would make it quite a bit more difficult. The interesting thing is that you can flag your post as verified replies only, even if you're not verified.
I'll never pay for Twitter. I want an alternative because I do like to post like pictures and stuff on there, kind of just for myself. But I mean, the solution is probably just making my own website and just shit posting there. But
yeah, and then constantly managing the security updates.
That's what I don't want to do. But that's the cost if you don't want to deal with something like Twitter.
Well, you might think, oh, I'm not going to use Twitter because social media is just harvesting my data and I don't tolerate that. But at this point, it's pretty much a lost cause.
Costco accused of sharing customers' highly personal health data with Facebook owner Meta.
So this is the similar one with Walgreens or whoever it was. It's the Metapixel. It's everywhere.
Cost caught. I'm going to forget that as a title. They're caught sharing.
Oh, CAUGH?
Yeah.
Yes. So when they put the Metapixel on there and you're checking out your drugs, guess what Meta learns about?
Oh.
So Metapixel should be banned everywhere, and yet every website uses it.
Because they need to advertise to you. The worst kind of evil.
Only 27 minutes on that one, but there's just two of us, so I feel like you got to cut us some slack this week.
Also, there were a ton of stories in this section. People are focused on other things in social media this week.
The news was kind of dominated by one topic this week.
Hopefully nothing worse by the time this comes out, but I'm sure it will be worse.
But let me tease you into Friday, you're going to learn about the fat bear winner. The fattest bear.
All right, we'll see you guys then. Bye.